Well, welcome back to Grey Gum Farm. My name's Sue. So we have 30 acres here just north of Sydney. It's a hobby farm. It's been quite many years since it's been a working farm. Previous to us, it has been in the past a dairy farm, and at the moment we let the neighbours' cows, Black Angus cows, run on our property to keep the grass short to reduce the fire hazard risk of the paddocks burning. So we have the house garden here is completely surrounded by this lovely brick fence. We've got stone fence we have, and it is about an acre of land which Mum and Dad have beautifully landscaped and planted up, and it's now a lovely established garden which I will take you through today. So here we are, we're in February, and I'm just so happy with how our first garden tour was received, so I decided to do them monthly. So I'm not quite sure how much to sort of repeat myself from last garden tour, but there may be new viewers, so I just wanted to mention that we love our garden sculpture and our hardscapes around in the garden. So got this lovely large concrete pot here that weighs a tonne and is getting beautifully some beautiful moss and growing on it. Just inside the front gate here. So this lovely grey leaf, silvery leaf here is called Senecio or silver ragwort, and we've got a lovely Buddha settled in the middle here, and he greets us as we come in the gateway. So we're just looking at this Senecio here, and we've got, we're developing a great big brown patch here, and which we're not happy with, and mind you, these bits here are starting to sprout up. But yes, we want it to be fuller and happier, and especially for April because we've got the wedding then. So we're thinking that Kathy suggested that we put some bags of potting mix on top of those sort of sticky branches, and they should develop roots and pop up through the soils and hopefully just rejuvenate this area a bit. So let's do that. So the wisteria on this steel post here has actually got a few flowers on, and then we've got lomandras along there, and then above them, and in the January tour, these were in full flower, these crepe myrtle trees above at the top there, but they have now gone on, got their nuts on. These lomandras are a really tough, hardy plant. I believe they are a bush tucker. The birds love the seed heads on them, and they're just a really nice strappy plant. So on the January tour, these trees above were just a mass of blooms. Now we do have some white crepe myrtles on the other side of the path here, and the white crepe myrtles do continue, they don't completely stop flowering. So that is another good reason that the white crepe myrtles are really good for the bees, to just make sure that there's something flowering all the time for them. This little purple ground cover convolvulus here doesn't have very many flowers on it at the moment. And the seaside daisies are looking very sad. But the convolvulus is looking better here. Got a few flowers on it. And beside that we have this, this was a pond, but the puppies were making too much of a mess with it. So we put buckwheat in it, which we've now pulled out, and there are still some zinnias in it. And we managed to pick up a few potted zinnias at the local nursery, so we'll put those in there and have a bit more of a zinnia statement in this area. Over on the other side of the path here, We have just laid some turf here. There was evening primrose under these 2 trees, but it wasn't looking pretty all the time, so we've decided to turf that area, and the turf is getting a go on there now. Then on this side we've got some little monkeys, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, and then some little birds, metal birds, and a pair of monkeys under the bush here grooming each other. This little green bush here is an Eriostemon. It flowers, has a white flower in the spring, and the rest of the year it's just a nice green foliage. And then beside that we have an abutilon or a Chinese lantern, and they get nice little sort of bell-like flowers that the honeyeaters love, but it does have borers in it, so we'll probably be removing it shortly. So if you're enjoying this garden tour, it would really help out our channel if you liked and subscribed, or even better yet, shared it on your social media. That'd be great. Below the Eriostemon we've got a small crepe myrtle tree just getting started. Yeah, so it's going to obviously have these crimsony coloured flowers. So you might hear in the background Tristan's just started chainsawing, so hopefully that's not too intrusive. Anyway, this is a bromeliad here. It's not in flower at the moment. Our pots of goras that we've got going for the wedding are looking very pretty, so that's going well. And then over here, we call them Dr. Seuss trees, but they are actually called ponytail palms. And a particularly interesting feature of the ponytail palm is how it... Kathy tells me that they're basically a succulent, and they've got these enormous bulbous where it joins the ground, and yeah, so one of the stems is getting a bit tall and starting to infringe on the power lines coming into the house here. So we're thinking we're going to have to take that top one out. And Kathy was saying that if we cut that down at a level like here, where it's coming in, it's got this second ball of leaves sprouting off, that we could just stick that whole stem into the ground. So that would be an interesting experiment. So we've got a nice wrought iron seat there. I particularly like the tree on the back of that there. It's very pretty. And then beside that we've got our blue collection. This cobalt blue is my favourite colour. So a lot of these pots came from my house when I moved here. Below the crepe myrtles here we've got a lovely little water feature with a little chicken in the middle, and for the puppies to drink out of we've got another tub down here. We have to put that heavy wombat in there, otherwise Stacey will pause at the water and tips the whole thing out. So we have to have that nice heavy wombat in the middle to stop her tipping the water out. And just behind the water with the wombat is these pink lily type flowers, trumpet
Naked ladies.
And yes, they're called naked ladies because the leaves come up in the winter. Did you say?
Yes, yeah.
The leaves come up in the winter, and then the flower stalk comes up around now, and they have no leaves. They're just this naked stem with the flowers on top. So the next big change here is this bed, a flower bed. And we did have marigolds in here last garden tour, and we've pulled all of those out, and we've just installed a dripper system because Mum is finding it harder and harder to make sure she just covers the whole bed with that if she's hand watering. So Yeah, so we've just got this dripper system in here now. And it's going to...
We'll be planting
Yeah, what flower?
pansies.
Pansies. So, yeah, so as
In
soon
March.
as come March, we'll fill this up with lots and lots of pansies. So down below here, we've got a... Oh, just noticed on the top of... Can you see him? That beautiful little fairy wren. He is so beautiful. He is a superb blue fairy wren. That is the boy, and the girls are brown. So that's lovely to see him. So he is sitting on the weeping apricot, which is the first to flower in after winter, still in late winter, in July in our Australian climate here. And then we've got a lovely little lower grassy section with a weeping mulberry across the other side there.
The weeping apricot is grafted onto a 6-foot tall stem, but the problem is that that graft right down from the ground, it keeps trying to sucker, and they've got to be,
And that's,
about every month or so, I get David to cut off the suckers from the bottom, otherwise those suckers would take over the whole thing.
yes, and we want the weeping foliage,
Yes.
not whatever the stem was grafted onto.
Yes.
Yeah. So we've got our little succulents. So we have our little succulent section here along beside the house. And I don't know if I mentioned it in my first garden tour, but all plants right against the house are in pots, so that we can clear behind them, and they don't collect leaves and create a fire hazard if we've got a bushfire looming.
And not only that, the pots are ceramic, not plastic.
Yes, yeah, because the succulents prefer that. Is that?
Well, they don't burn.
Oh yes, right. So the fire issue. Yeah. This bed of zinnias, they are, oh, my goodness, I just can't express enough how beautiful these zinnias are and what joy they have been giving us, seeing all these lovely profusion of flowers out our window. Oh, wow. All I can say is just wow. If you're not growing zinnias, give them a go.
And the blue cathedral deep blue just contrasts the zinnia colours so beautifully and sets the whole bed off.
Just looks spectacular. And then we've got a series of pots here under the window with pink gerberas of a variety of pinks. And this area here beside our dragon has come and gone at its peak, so I'll just drop a little video I took of when it was looking beautiful in here. Here we have Linaria vulgaris and white crocus beside our dragon, looking very majestic. Since the last tour we have pruned this buddleia here, so it should we'll have a chance now to have a nice flush of growth and hopefully some flowers in April for our wedding. And then some lovely bird baths. We have lots of bird baths at different heights and different depths, so that different birds can have different preferences with their bathing. It's so funny watching birds bathe. You know, some are stately and they just wade through the pond, whereas others get in there and have a real flap about. And just below that is this nice leafy plant, which is called a cast iron plant or an aspidistra.
By the way, Sue,
Yep.
I think you should turn around and take another beautiful garden from where you're standing. I'll get out of your way.
So yes, so this is the opposite view of the zinnias, and it is just a picture. So pretty. I've got a little fuchsia here on the other side of the path, and then on the step here we've got some pots of native violets, and the native violets are looking very pretty. They're just a pretty purple and white violet flower. Aren't they gorgeous? And on the other side of the path here, we've got our little pond feature, and surrounding that pond is just your standard violets, which are not in flower at the moment. And we can just hear the frog starting up. And beside the water feature, we've got this lovely lady here with her water pitcher, and on the other side a lizard curled around a water. The dogs love drinking out of this one. And then another little bird bath with a little wren in the middle, and another sculpture. We do love our sculpture in the garden. And then all behind the pond here we've got bromeliads, and then this is a different bromeliad. This is the matchstick bromeliad here. It's got a wider leaf and has a nice little well at the bottom that the frogs like to get into and lay their tadpoles. And down below the bromeliads here is a nice, very tall salvia called bog sage. This nice blue flower. Then we've got a callistemon there beside that, and more buddleias down the bottom there as well. Then we come across here to the potting bench, and all these plants here are ones that we're planning on putting into that pond garden where we took out the buckwheat and, was it buckwheat?
Yes, yeah.
Buckwheat?
Yes, no.
Where we took out the buckwheat, and so these are some zinnia flowers that plants that Mum found at the local nursery. I think ours that we grew from seed look a bit more interesting, but they're still pretty. I just love the green tinge on our ones. So behind the potting bench is the fennel, which is looking not as a bit gone off a little bit from the January video, but it's still just as interesting to all the insect and the little birds hunting around in it. So yeah.
The fennel will be cut down before our wedding on the 20th of April, and because it will be quite ugly by then.
Yeah. And then we've got, lots of seating around this area here. Got cane chairs at the corner, around the corner. We've got these wooden seats here. And another table and chairs over here. And this is a real meeting place for the whole 4 generations who live on the property. Because this is the laundry, and inside the laundry in the middle section there we have facilities for boiling a kettle and a fridge and whatnot, so that we can get together and have a cuppa here and have a good chat. It's really nice, a nice little area. So nothing much has changed in this area. We've cut back the buddleias here as well, so that they can get a fresh shoot of growth, and we've brought cut back this pot of zinnias and brought it over to a sunnier spot. We think they like a sunny spot. Then over here we have a new plant. What was it, the one that we put in here, tried in here, Mum?
Celosia.
Yeah, so there was a little trio of 3 orange, yellow and red, and they're sort of flame-like foliage. And we put them in, and they died almost immediately with just because of the heat. And so we're trying out these little sweet little plants, and the tag says they are an angelonia, blue angel and a pink angel there. So what does it say? Full sun, height 40 centimetres, width 60 centimetres, great in pots. So we're hopeful. So these buddleias were cut back last time, and they're just looking so much better now. This, because they were very eaten early on in the spring. They were eaten. So there's this buddleia here, and on the other side of the hose reel is another beautiful buddleia, a more lavender colour. And then we've got a lovely little bird bath down here, and we're getting more and more water dragons coming into the garden because we have permanent, we make sure we've got water available for the wildlife and the birds all the time, and it really does make a difference to how much wildlife you get coming into your garden if you give them water. And this crepe myrtle, its trunk is just looking, I think it's just so pretty. These lovely reddy brown colours that we get coming as the bark peels off. So just below this section with the two crepe myrtles here is a little row of citrus. So we've got lemons, 2 oranges, navels and valencias. We've got kumquats and mandarins as well. So yeah, we do like our citrus. So we do keep these citrus pruned low so that fruit is accessible to us, and very hard, each week. So we prune them hard each year. And then of course got our beautiful frog sculpture here, and we just love him. And I'll drop a photo in of a lizard who was also feeling very aesthetic and posed himself on top of this frog. So when you, with the crepe myrtles, they often are getting these little suckers coming up from the bottom, and if you want it to be a tree, you need to keep taking those off. But if you leave them, if you want to have a crepe myrtle bush, then you leave them on and you get a nice little bushy structure instead. Now we've had to heavily prune this, you can see that stump there, because it was starting to overshadow the laundry beside it here, and it was affecting the quality of our rainwater that we were collecting. Yes, this scora overhanging the path is looking way past it, so it needs a good cut back, and if we do that now, it should be pretty for our April wedding. And the albizia over there has mostly stopped flowering now, and it does still have some pink flowers, but it's mostly getting its seed pods now. So yeah, so it's another name for it is a silk tree, the albizia. Yeah. And this, of course, is our weeping mulberry, and I'll drop in a little video that we did of the kids playing under there. It's just such a lovely a cubby house tree for the children. Got a little tea and tables and chairs underneath there. Incinerator in the middle there, or behind them. And Kathy told me something interesting the other day, and that is that the smoke from the incinerator stimulates the Gymea lilies to produce their flowers. So I thought that was interesting. And here up on Kathy's veranda, the grapevine, ornamental grapevine here, is looking very lush. Needs a good trim back actually. Okay, so we're here at the driveway here, and we've got these, what are these ones, Mama?
Ruselias. They flower from spring to winter.
Yes, so that really consistent flowers, and the birds love them.
We cut them back heavily every year at the end of winter.
And catmint beside it there. So the salvias also have a hugely long flowering season. This is a little red and white one up here in
Hot lips.
Hot Lips in this in our courtyard garden now. And the blue plumbago is still flowering. Of course, the crepe myrtles above have stopped. They're all in their seed pod form now. And the goras, of course, are still flowering. And the bees love the goras, and we've got pink and white goras. They will be pruned back shortly. Next time we have a David Day. David is a huge help in our garden. We get David to help Mum once a fortnight and Dad once a fortnight. So yeah, thank you David if you're watching. So these salvias down the bottom here have been pruned back and we will be doing the goras shortly. These cathedral deep blues here we pruned back as well, and this is where we got the plant material for our cuttings that we're experimenting with in the sunroom. And then up above here we have a row of buddleias and westringas. The buddleias are getting an occasional flower coming out. Of course, if you want the buddleias to flower more, all you need to do is cut the dead flowers off and you will get much more flowers coming on.
Spinebills love the flowers.
The spinebills do love these Mexican limelight salvias. They are looking a bit secondhand at the moment, and these will all get cut back as well. So, you know, big cutback happens at end of January, beginning of February in the garden. Can you see him? He's such a performer. It's so beautiful. So this is the superb blue fairy wren. This is the male, and he has kept his blue past breeding season, so he will be over 4 years old. The girls and the immature males are a brown colour, but this little fellow, he is a very smart dresser. And then here we are back around to at the front at the start of the garden, and down below on the flat here we've got our neighbours' cows grazing the fields for us. They are Black Angus cattle, beef cattle, and that's pretty much the marquee site where we're going to have the wedding down there. Well, thank you very much for joining me on our second garden tour, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed that and hope to see you next time. Bye.